The video you're about to see, I'm going to deliver an inceptive story that's really going to demonstrate for you fully that this really works. Now, some background so you understand where you're headed here. This is a video that was shot at a live event in Tallinn, Estonia, and what you're about to hear me talk about is a story about me going hunting with some Bushmen in East Africa. Bear with the story. Initially, you might be thinking to yourself, why am I watching a video about hunting in East Africa? Bear with me, you'll understand, because what's going to happen in this video is you're going to see a moment where inception takes place, where a buying decision gets triggered in the audience, and it's very, very powerful stuff. Then, in the next two videos, what you're going to get is a deep dive into how you do the evaluation of your target audience's drivers, figuring out their psychology, trying to figure out really, really what's important to them so that you can engage them properly. And then in the third video, I'm going to show you something incredibly powerful, and it's this simple. Once you've triggered people into the idea that they want to buy, once you've triggered them, here's what's really, really important. That you then teach them how to buy, and you make sure that that leads them to the logical conclusion that they want to buy from you and not from somebody else. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that in the third video. So for now, let's go over to Tallinn, Estonia, and let's hear all about the Bushmen, and let's see how Inception works.
So we're going to talk about Inception marketing, and as I said, Inception is about the beginning. So we're talking about creating marketing that is so effective that it doesn't look like marketing, and it simply gets a client into a mindset of wanting to buy without needing a lot of persuasion. And I'm gonna tell you why this is really important, because you see, have you ever done one of these surveys to get free Wi-Fi or something, and then they say to you like, it's like a survey. When are you going to buy your next computer? When are you buying your next cell phone? Have any of you done these surveys? Yeah, they're just surveying the market to see what the economy's like, what people's confidence is like, what they're planning to buy, and so. Here's what they have found through all these kind of studies, is that basically, at any point in time, about 3% of the market is buying whatever you're selling. It's just kind of a weird number. Let's try it out. Play with me on this so we can prove it to everybody. There's enough people here, we can do a good market survey. How many people in this room in the next week or two are going to buy a new cell phone? How many people? New mobile phone. Look, 3%. And then how many people are going to buy a new computer in the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks? How many? Look again, it's about 3%. And then how many people are going to buy a new car in the next month or so? Look, it's 3% again. Anybody for a new house in the next month or so? New house? Oh, look, it's even 3% on the house. Running shoes. How about running shoes? How many people for new? Look, it's 3%. Now, this may seem a little bit silly to you, but here's why we're doing it. Who are most companies marketing to? The 3%. If you think about your fancy SEO campaigns, you got to have your SEO on your website. You do. Don't take me wrong. You do need good SEO, search engine optimization. But here's the thing. All that's doing is making sure that the 3% can find you. You're not thinking about the other 97%. This is a huge thing to realize in marketing. And so I want to share something with you. Let's try it like this. So I mentioned before that I originally was doing lots of speaking about health and nutrition. And when I first started speaking about health and nutrition, I was really heavily focused on human history. It turns out my great-grandfather discovered the oldest ever Homo sapiens skull, a 259,000-year-old skull. And so I became really curious about early history and early humans. And then one day, I got an opportunity, I got this invitation, I'm not kidding you, to go visit with Bushmen. I mean actual How many of you have seen the movie The Gods Must Be Crazy? It's one of the greatest little independent films ever. If you haven't seen it, it's a must. And it's about these Bushmen, and these guys are true Bushmen. I mean, they hunt and they gather, they have no money, they don't have jobs, they don't even have homes. They move all the time. They move with the animals, they move with the water, and so on. And I got a chance to go visit with these guys so I could learn a little bit about what human history used to be like. And so I got out there. In fact, I've got pictures of these guys. Let's see if we can, oh, that's not it. Let's get the, anybody want to see a Bushman? Yep. All right, here we go. Let's get to the Bushman. All right, that's these guys. I was just with these guys about 4 months ago. The guy on the second from the left is the chief of that village. He's a really great guy, really, really fun. I had sent out this email to some of my close contacts and said, hey, do any of you have questions you would like me to ask the Bushman? And Tony Robbins wrote back to me and he says, yeah, I've got two. I want to know what the purpose of life is, and I want to know what happens when we die, what they think, what the Bushmen think, right? And so I asked the chief, and he says, the purpose of life is to be who you are. Wow, I like that. He goes, be who you are. I'm a Bushman, so I be a Bushman. You're the city dweller, so you be the city dweller. And I go, all right, that sounds good, but what if I change who I am and I suddenly want to be a Bushman too? And he goes, then do it fully. Then come and be a Bushman and be a Bushman. Just like whatever you're going to be, this guy should have his own like DVD program and seminars. He was really he was so inspirational. Then I said, what do you think happens? I gave him Tony's second question, what do you think happens when we die? And he looks at me like, it's not a matter of what we think happens, they just know. And I go, well, okay, then what happens when we die? And he goes, it ends. Yeah, okay, cool. So here's another one. Actually, I think this is me with one of the other tribes that I was with. And now I want you to check this guy out. This is really fascinating from a health perspective. Look at this guy. Who would like to have arms like this? And never have to go to a gym? He's never been to a gym in his life. Never. Now, what he's doing right now, he's got a bow, and he's shooting at that piece of wood. This day, what they did is they said, hey, we're going to have a little competition to see who can hit the piece of wood with the arrow. And so they gave me a bow and my 4 arrows, and they gave our guide a bow and 4 arrows, and 2 of the Bushmen. And we all got there, and we got back, and we cranked out and fired out. And I got 2 of my arrows into the piece of wood. I was so excited. And everybody else only got 1. Like, I actually beat the Bushmen at their own arrow competition. I was like, oh, this is so cool. I think they may have let me win. It's possible. But what was really cool is after that, they invited me to go hunting with them. Like, again, I want to put this in perspective. This is what grocery shopping used to be like. It's more dangerous, takes a lot more energy. They said, do you want to go? Now, look, if you're into human history and all this stuff, and they go, hey, do you want to come hunting with us? What do you say? Yes, I'm in. So I'm going to go hunting with these guys. And here's where it gets really fascinating. I go hunting with them, and the first thing I notice about them is that they don't make very much noise when they're running through the bush. They don't make much noise. They kind of, go along, and they're quite quiet. And then how about me right behind them? I'm quiet like the night, right? No. I'm like the city guy, crashing, smashing. And I'm suddenly going, oh, these poor guys. This is their grocery shopping, and if I make this much noise, the groceries are going to hide. They're not going to eat. So I better do something about this. I better figure it out. Of course, I remember. I've been to lots of programs. I've studied peak performance, and you know what? I remember, hey, what did Tony Robbins always say? Hey, if you got somebody who's getting the result you want to have, model them. Figure out what they're doing to create their success and model it. That's what I've been doing in my whole business life. Why couldn't I now do it with the Bushmen? So I thought, all right, let's model them. So I started paying attention to the way they held their head, the way they held their body, the way they ran. And so I started running like them. And I noticed something. They run on the fronts of their feet, not on the backs. So they run like, oh, that makes a difference, doesn't it? By the way, why did I have to learn this from the Bushmen? I am a parent. How many of you are parents? If your children would like to sneak around the house, do they walk on the front or the back of their feet? Front. Do you guys have the expression tippy toes? Right? That's all they're doing. They're running along on the fronts of their feet like that. So I'm thinking, okay, cool. So now I'm running along. Not only are you more quiet when you hit the ground, but you can also choose your steps better. And so I was so quiet. That one of the Bushmen turned around and make sure I didn't get eaten by a lion. Still there. And after about an hour and a half of this, something monumentous, something truly amazing happened. And that was that I realized that my knee was not hurting. And this was amazing because I ran the marathon, the London Marathon in the year 2000, and I hurt my knee so badly that I had to give up running. I could not run. Anything more than, 2 or 3 kilometers, no way, couldn't run. I had to stop. And here I was running through the bush with these Bushmen for hours, and my knee wasn't hurting. And I started thinking about this. They're running the way people have run for millions of years. I was running the way I was taught how to run in high school. Their way seems to be working better. So I started thinking about why it might be working better. And I realized that one of the reasons it might be working better is that if you land on the fronts of your feet, it's soft. You land on your heels and it's pretty hard. There's a shock to it. And so I started thinking about that. I thought, that's really fascinating, because what happens is all the running shoe companies, don't they put air and gel and springs and things in the heel to take away that shock, right? That should be helping us. But then I started thinking about this. With boxing, what do you think's more dangerous? Boxing with the big gloves or boxing with the bare hand? What do you think? How many people think that boxing with the big gloves would be more dangerous? How many people think boxing without the gloves would be more dangerous? See, you would think that. You would think that. It would make sense, but here's the difference. One thing is, when you have a bare hand, you can't hit them so many times. It hurts. You and them. They can't take so many punches. You can't give so many out. So the fight doesn't last so long. When you have those big gloves on, you can punch them for hours. It doesn't hurt you, and it doesn't really hurt them so bad. But what happens to their brain inside their head? Bad, horrible things. Because when we take away that shock by putting all the padding on there, we take away the proper communication that the skin was supposed to give us. The skin was supposed to say, hey, don't get hit like that again. But then we put the big glove on. Oh, yeah, you can do that again. Go and watch Muhammad Ali rumble in the jungle. Watch him take 15 rounds of Foreman punching him in the head again and again and again. And then watch a video of him now. I'm telling you that the padding is not helping. It's not helping with the heels either. What's going on now is we have all this padding in our heels. It's giving us permission to land in a way that we would never land when we were running. I tell you right now, if you took off your shoes and just ran down the floor over here, you would land on your heel maybe once, maybe twice, but after that, you would never do it again. It hurts. And the padding in our heels has taught us to run that way, which is why everybody has a brace on their knee and a problem with their shoulder and a problem in their hip. It's phenomenally interesting. And so I thought, I'm running along and I'm thinking about those stupid, do you guys have these here in Estonia, those crazy looking toe shoes? Do you have them? Oh, look at that silly fad. Crazy looking shoes. But I started thinking about them. I started thinking about these crazy shoes, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to try them out. So I go to this sporting goods store in England. I got back to England from Africa, and I got to the sporting goods store, and I walked in, and there were other people in the store. But I don't know, have you ever gone into a store and you needed to buy something you didn't want anyone to see you buying? I don't know what you were buying. I was buying shoes. So I went in there to get these shoes, and I tried them on, and she goes, now, take it easy with these shoes. And I go, what do you mean, take it easy? No kidding, in the month before I bought them, I'd been up and down Kilimanjaro. I'd been hunting with the Bushmen for days on end. I mean, I was in the peak shape of my life. What do you mean, take it easy? And she goes, I'm just saying, with these shoes on, you'll run differently. And I go, that's why I want to try them, to run differently. She goes, yes, but when you run differently, you'll use muscles you haven't used in a long time. When you land on the fronts like this, you're going to engage all these muscles on the front that you don't usually use. So take it easy. I thought, whatever, I'll take it easy. Oh, by the way, do you know of a park anywhere nearby that nobody runs in, so I can go there alone? She goes, if you go early enough, you might be okay. So I go off to this park and I run 10 kilometers. That's me taking it easy. Now, my knee did not bother me at all. And not at all. I run no problem today. I carry barefoot running shoes with me wherever I go. My muscles, they did hurt a lot the next day, but my knee did not. Because I realized that I didn't have a bad knee. Wait, it's such a crazy idea to have do you guys use that expression here? Oh, I have a bad knee. Do you have that? People, a bad elbow, bad knee. However your knees came into existence, if you're more religious and God gave them to you, or if you're more into science and they evolved, I don't really care which it is. Here's what I'm thinking. They're a pair. They should probably run out pretty close at the same time as each other. One should not run out when I'm 25 years old. I don't have a bad knee. I had a bad running strategy. And so I needed to change that running strategy. Now, let me ask you a couple of questions. Do you find the Bushmen interesting? Yeah? Is it an engaging story? Here's the real question I have for you. How many people, and I know audience interaction, you think I can't see you because of the bright lights and all this stuff. I can. I want to know how many people in this room right now are thinking, wow, maybe I really do need to look at getting new running shoes. How many people? You see the numbers? We're talking about a third of the room, up from 3%. A third of the room up from 3% with no selling.